Once again, you are welcome to episode 9. My name once again still remain Odutola Isabiodun DTM, your great anchor on this channel. As you know, this episode 9 will be talking about the continuation of our lecture from episode 7. Yeah, from episode 7, which we are still talking about the crude protein and the material alternation on feed formulation. No, we are still on feed formulation. I told you this is not, you don't need to be, you don't need to be on haste on this lecture. This is a in-depth lecture on fish farming. For those of you who are on our WhatsApp, you can see the way we do our free lectures on WhatsApp. We make sure that we analyze, we give in-depth information that you need. We don't just jump. We analyze everything to depth so that you can really understand. So as we continue on episode 9, if you have an advert on this program, if you want to place advert on this lecture, make sure that you contact the number on the screen, and we will put up your advert here. But for those of you who want to put up an advert free, we because we're starting this lecture free, so we give room for 10 people to come up here for the advert. Just 10 people. When it is 10, I stopped. So we start the cost. So yeah, so 10 people to bring up their advert for free. I will advertise your product for free. 10 people to bring up the advert for free. I will advertise it for free. So I'll be counting those that come first. Make sure that you pick up an advert. You have it for free on this channel. So let's continue. Yeah, on our last episode we talked about I talked about how to formulate good concentrate on making your own locally to foreign feed. How to formulate, not to formulate on, if you are concentrating your feed, make sure that your concentration does not require you spend so low that the concentration will be dull. That means the much needed crude protein will be lower, because the more shaft you put on this material, you are concentrating, you are not balancing the nutrient, and if you are not balancing the nutrient, the CP will be dropping. As the CP will be dropping, more of carbohydrate will come up and more of shaft will set in, and when more of shaft is setting it, this will not build the body tissues of your fishes. As we know that the most needed nutrient that catfish need to grow is crude protein. So, and crude protein is highly cost. They are cost. All the material for crude protein is cost. So it is advisable to work on that. So another one is that if you do not know anything about feed formulation, and you may end up using some nutrient at same time, the same feed formula. If you visit some feed mill and you see some outrageous formulation, that means when you want to formulate yourself. So that is why if you are still a very small farm and you want to go into feed formulation, I will advise you to if you take it to a feed mill, I will advise you to sit down with them. It is important you sit down with them. Any feed mill that does not allow you to sit down to mix your material, even to take it to the pellet or to the grinder, to me that feed mill is better you walk out from there, because not the owner of the feed mill, but the workers in the feed mill. The workers in the feed mill will not allow you to stay, because they may want to take advance on some of your material, which we know that the source of crude protein is the most higher. So they may want to steal some of the material for the, maybe you tell them to add 50% or 40%, that means a 40% fish meal, that means Danish, you are using 72% fish meal, and I think 72% is sold for, some sells for 2,000 naira now, 2,500 naira, and these people can conveniently steal 10 kg out of it. So that means they are stealing nothing less than 20,000 naira from you, and they will be adding up the 10 kilo with just this lower material. They can, some of them can even add what we call the wheat over flakes into it, that they are selling for maybe they are selling for 150, 100 naira into it, and they are making that huge amount of money from you. And you are doing this, you are concentrating with them. Maybe you are doing 1 ton. You can amount how much of money they might have stolen from you. The concentration will be lower, and this will not balance. So it is advisable for you to sit down with them, make sure that they mix everything in your face. As they are mixing it, let them take it to the grinder. If you can't wait, from the grinder, since it's mixed, once it's taken to the grinder, you are 50% safe. And if you have been patient enough for them to mix with water and put it inside the pelletizer, you are, to me, you are still 80% safe. So it's better for you to do what? To go to a very reliable feed mailer, so that you won't have a fault. So let's continue. If you visit some feed mill and you see some outrageous formulation, they are unnecessary, expensive, and waste of money. How can you have cassava? That means, how can you have cassava flour and wheat flour in the same formulation, which are of the same starchy product? But if you want to have cassava flour and wheat flour in your formulation, the way you can do it is an alternation, which I will tell you. Is either you want to make it reduce your cost, because I will still be going into that. I will still mention that, to me, you require just 5 materials for a reliable, for a successful feed formulation. Again, how will you have palm kernel cake, that means PKC, and vegetable oil in the same feed formulation of the same material? So these are just the intro. I will be going deeper on the feed concentration. So we are about entering the feed concentration, but still note, we are on what we call the crude protein and the materials alternation. If you are one of them that visit any feed mill and has them to formulate a feed of a certain crude protein, you should be very careful, because they may use any available material at their disposal to get this concentration for you. I thought I mentioned about this earlier. They may use any material to get the concentration does for you. For those that believe in branded feed, what if the concentration written on the label does not tally? Because most of us to believe on branded feed, that maybe that some of us thought getting a branded feed or getting a finished feed from any producers is okay for their fishes, forgetting to know that we are not equal. Not everybody is godly. Some of the producers may say they are 2 mm is 45% to 42%, and by the time you take it to the lab, you can discover that the feed, maybe the feed is just 38%. I've seen a lot of materials that have been deposited in our feed mill, and by the time they tell us this is 62%, and we take it to the lab, we discover is about 38-40%. So because these materials, they are different in crude protein. Not all GNC are of the same crude protein. The processes brings down the crude protein, so you must be very, very careful. For me, I normally agitate, maybe the China can help us to do what we call a material testing kit, a very small one that will be good for every feed producers. And if you are watching me from China now, I think that is an assignment for you, and you can contact me if you have it. So I will just put up here for an advert for you, free of charge. If you meet up the 10 bonus criteria that I mentioned earlier. So I'll put up there for you, just for people to test. This is an example on like when we started fish farming. When I started fish farming, we don't have access to testing kit. Testing kit is very, very expensive, even to test your pH alone. You can't even see it. Anywhere you can get it, we get it. To test the pH of your water is about, just pH, is about 80,000 naira. Just to test the pH of your material. Then very, very difficult. You have to take it to Durante, to those high-class fish producers. So, but now we can access the kit for as low as 10,000 naira, depending, as low as 7, 6, 5,000 naira, depending on the brand. So that is what I'm just saying. For those, if you can help us with this, it will be okay. And I know Nigerians, West African, will like to buy it, because we want to know how much. If you are getting what we call soya, if you are getting soya, it's a material, a small material that we can use in testing, just to give us the CP of what we have, so that we won't be making mistake, because that is where most feed mailers or feed concentrators are making a lot of mistakes from. Because by the time you buy a GNC and you take it to a lab and they tell you this GNC has 45% crude protein, please, the next GNC you will buy, if the GNC comes from other producers, it may not be 45%. It may drop to 42%, or it may be higher than 45%. And for you to calculate this, it will be a little more difficult for you to get the required crude protein that you calculated, maybe on that calculating formula, the table, maybe it's already written there that you have 45% GNC, the crude protein on your GNC is 45%. So by the time you are inputting the formulation, this will just calculate for you the crude protein. So note, on this channel too, I will be telling you how to calculate your crude protein, so you can really understand what I meant by this. So that's just an advice for the manufacturers around the world to help in doing that. What if the product is not readily available at your location? That means you are looking for a certain material, maybe for those of us that use biscuit, for those of us that use gala, in order to alternate our the nutrient of our feed. Maybe you want to cushion up a little bit on your crude protein, you want to cushion on your carbohydrate, and you need some minerals. That means some of the minerals inside gala, so inside biscuit, and some people in the north cannot access this. So you need to understand, that is where you need to understand what we call feed material alternation. Is very, very, very important. What if the feed is adulterated, and if it is the feed in the bag is expired? Note, we are talking about the branded feed. So I'm just giving a little bit disadvantage of branded feed that you may watch. If you are using it, you need to watch this very well. There are a lot of farmers that have buy branded feed out there, and by the time they give it to their fishes, they started drying. That means some of them may be expired. And the bad thing that most of the sellers, not the branded, not from the producers now, but from the sellers, the worst thing that most of them do is that they rebag it. They rebag it. By the time they rebag it, you will not know. They will be selling an expired feed for you. And some of them, when the feed is expired, they will use thinner to rub up the expiring date from the bag. So you will not see it well. It will not go out rather dryly, so that you will not know that they touch it. They will just tap on it. When they tap on it, where maybe we are in 2023 and the feed expired in 2022, they will just tap the edge of 2022 that it will not complete. So you will not really know. A thinner will just rub it up. So once it's taken off out of it, you may not know, and you use it for your fish. The fish may be contaminated because of the moisture. And once the moisture rises, because the preservation period is expired, so once the moisture rises, this automatically goes to affect your fishes, because these have already established what we call some bacteria, fungi will be developed. And if the hormone of your fishes is not that ripened, this will automatically affect them. So that is the disadvantage. Do you know that with just 5 materials, you can compose a good formulation with premise, vitamin, additives, and other with just 5 materials? I told you about this earlier. You can compose a very good formulation. Having good knowledge of your ingredient and nutritional value of various ingredients, joined with the nutritional requirement of your feed at various stages, this will assist you formulate your nutrition will assist you formulate to bring out a quality feed. There are 2 ways of combining materials. You can combine your material through manual, and you can combine your material to what we call computer imputation. I'll be telling you how to do this from this video, so please don't be confused. I said there are 2 ways of combining your material. That means concentrating your materials, knowing what you are, the total nutrient, the total value that your feed is taking. So you can do this manually. You can do it through computer imputation. And computer imputation, there are some software out there that some people have already built that they are selling. That it's like when you are, as an accountant, you want to do your computation easily as an accountant, because I'm an accountant, so I can tell you that I know that exists very well. You can do it through what we call Sage. You can do it through what we call the Peachtree and other software available. So that means this software is designed down by somebody. So you don't need the ledger stuff. You don't need the ledger stuff to be writing. So what you just do is that just input your expenses, put it in the expensive column, put your overhead in the overhead column, put your other cost in the required places. This will automatically add up because it's computer imputation. So this will help you to calculate by the end of the day what you are having. So that is how it happens to feed mailing too. The feed mailing, there are some software available. If you need the software, you can contact me and I will link you up with some of the builder that has it, and we can contact you on how to build it. So what you do is that by the time maybe you want to compose a feed and you want to have a crude protein of 42% for your 2 ml, and you have a fish meal, maybe 10% fish meal. By the time you put 10% fish meal, GNC 10, this 10, this, you don't need to work on it. By the time you are inputting it, the computer, by looking at the side of the computer, maybe the upper edge of the computer, this will be increasing. The CPU will be increasing, and other minerals too will be increasing. The carbohydrate will be telling you the energy will be increasing. This will be telling you the amount. So with this, you can be adjusting, you can be alternating, you can be bringing this out, you can be bringing in it to get your 42% crude protein. So basically this, before we go today, this lecture is to guide you to calculate your feed formulation manually, because I will not be going, I will be calculating it manually for you. So once again, we'll be ending up our episode 9. So thank you so much as you are watching, and if you have not subscribed, make sure that you press on the subscription button. Thank you, and God bless you all.